All right, I'm going to make a nice little sketch here. The first thing I want to do is to block in some big shapes. So I've already done a little bit of that work, and I'm just continuing it right now. Just very lightly making some blocking in shapes of where I want everything to go. Then I'll go back in and darken it up and do the details. This is just very sketchy work right now. Very light. Just sketch it out for fun. Get some shapes going on in here where I want everything to be. It's a little bit like thinking on paper. You know, you just sketch and you're kind of thinking out where you want everything to be, where you want to put everything. And that's basically what I'm doing right now. As I'm going through here, I'm making Superman. He's a lot of fun to draw. The animated character of Superman. Of course, Superman has existed in many forms over the years. And I'm drawing one of my favorite ones. This is from the animated series, The Adventures of Superman, that we did back in the mid-90s. And I'm just barely touching this paper as I go over, blocking out where I think things ought to be. I'm not sure if the camera is even being able to pick up this drawing that I'm doing right now. It's possible that you're seeing my hand drawing, but you're not being able to see what I'm drawing at all. Hopefully you're going to be able to see this, but coming up in just a short time, I'm going to go over it a lot heavier and you'll be able to see it for sure then. So if you'll just bear with me for a minute, I'm blocking in where all of the shapes ought to be, sizes, the line quality. Just kind of thinking this thing over before I really get into the drawing of it. Finding the center line on the figure. Working out a little bit of detail before I really get into this. This pencil that I'm using, by the way, is by Koh-I-Noor. It is a Mephisto mechanical pencil. It is really my favorite one to draw with. I've drawn with many pencils over my life, and that's really my favorite one. It's got a certain weight to it. It's a little bit hard to describe to you, really. It's got a certain weight and the way that it feels in my hand, but it's just so nice to draw with, and it's easy to sketch with. And I just really like this pencil, so I use it quite a bit. I can use it for blocking in the drawings like I just did, or you can use it for finished drawings like I do in some of my other videos. There are videos that I have where I use nothing but that pencil the whole time, but this one I've switched it up a little bit. I'll show you what this is coming up in a little bit, but it's a much darker graphite pencil. This one that I'm using now, the lead weight is a 4B. The one that I was using in the mechanical pencil is an HB, so it's a much harder lead, and makes a much sharper, lighter line than the one I'm using now. The one I'm using now is a much softer feel, gives you a much darker line quality. So what I'm doing is I'm just going over the lines that I had initially blocked in and just sketching those out and making them look darker and fuller and just a nicer quality, fixing some of the problems that I did in the first place with some of the lines. That's really, I think, the key to making nice sketches is you go through it lightly and you make your lines, and then you go back through a second time and make them darker and make layers and more details. And you may notice I'm not using an eraser. Once in a while I do use an eraser, but I'm not using an eraser in this one. Sometimes I think being an artist is just being able to fix the things that you did in the first place and make them look better. So as we go through this, I may have drawn out the wrong shape and the wrong sizes, but you know, I just keep working it, and I don't get upset about those lines that I make that aren't what I wanted in the first place. I just continue working it, and I make it right. So here's the big shield that Superman wears on his chest, the big S logo that he has. That's pretty close to what I wanted. And again, I'm just going through and making things look like I think they ought to look based on the rough stuff that I put down in the first place. Got to figure out his hand here. He's holding his shirt open so you can see that logo on his chest. He's changing from Clark Kent into Superman here, so I need to make these hands look as if he's pulling his shirt open. Sometimes when you're drawing, you just have to take a second and kind of sit back and look at it and think about it a little bit. And you can, once in a while, that'll show you where the problems are. You can sit back and see where your errors in drawing are, and then you can get back in and fix those, make it a much stronger drawing. There's some wrinkles on his shirt. Need to put in that shoulder. Superman, of course, has big, broad shoulders. Just noticed I didn't draw in one of his eyebrows up here. I need to put that in. The edges of his glasses. All right, let's go down here. Make the wrinkles in his shirt for where he's pulling it apart. And again, all the basic stuff was figured out as I was doing that initial drawing at the beginning, working out where I think everything ought to be. Now it's just a matter of going through and finalizing a lot of these things, drawing in extra details that weren't there before. This pencil that I'm using is called a Woodless Graphite pencil. Koh-I-Noor sells these. They're a wonderful, wonderful pencil. But they're woodless. They're mostly graphite. Here's the package that they come in. This is a package of 12 of them, and they have an HB. There's 2 different ones in there of HB, and then I think there's 2B, 4B, 6B, and 8B, if I remember correctly, as far as the weights of the lead, the darknesses of the lead that's in there. This is the paper that I'm drawing on. It's a Bristol board, and they have a couple of different ones. It's also by Koh-I-Noor, of course. They have a couple of different ones. One of them is a smooth surface Bristol, and the other one is a vellum surface. And I use both of them very frequently. Actually, my favorite one is the vellum one. It's a little bit of a softer surface, a little bit rougher and softer, and I like the feel of the pencil on the page with that softer surface. The smooth one, though, is what I'm drawing on right now, and that's a great paper as well. I like them both equally. I think I tend to use the vellum one just a little bit more often, but the smooth one is terrific too. If you are an inker and you like to put down black ink lines, the smooth surface is a fantastic surface to draw on, so I highly recommend that one. But the vellum one is great too, and I use it all the time. These Woodless graphite pencils make such a nice line on that Bristol board, so I do a lot of drawing on those and a lot of sketching. Of course, there's kind of a difference in sketching and drawing. You sketch out something very quickly and lightly, and you just have fun with it, and it doesn't really matter if you make any mistakes. You just draw for fun. That's the reason to do this. If you're not having fun, then there doesn't seem to be any reason to do it at all. But I love making the initial sketches and then going over it and doing the drawing on top of the sketches to make a little bit more of a finished version of it. Some people will make the quick sketches and stop right there, and they call it done. And if that's what you like to do, then that's what you should do. I do that all the time myself. In this case, I'm creating more of a finished one here because we're doing it on the camera, and just want you to see what it looks like. But it's a lot of fun. Love to sketch, love to draw. These pencils by Koh-I-Noor are terrific. Just feel great in my hand and just add to it. This one's getting close to being finished, and that is how we do it.